Welcome to the Sleepy Professor. I'm so glad you've joined me. Whether you're already tucked into bed, resting your eyes, or just settling down after a long day of life's noise, you're in the right place. Tonight, we're going to take a gentle journey into the sleeping brain and explore one of its most curious creations, dreams. From ancient questions to modern science, we'll drift through the mystery together. So take a deep breath, get cozy, and let your mind soften. Let's begin. Have you ever opened your eyes in the morning and felt like you'd just returned from another life? A dream so vivid it clung to you like mist, whispering strange echoes into your first waking thoughts. Maybe it was something joyful, a reunion, a flight, a strange but beautiful world, or maybe it was something confusing, like a half-finished sentence you couldn't quite grasp. And maybe, before you could even say it aloud, it vanished, evaporating like morning fog. That's the magic and the mystery of dreams. They feel real while you're in them, more real than real sometimes. But try to hold on to them, and they slip away. Still, we keep dreaming, every night. Whether we remember or not, the brain returns to that place again and again, crafting stories behind closed eyes. Dreams are strange in that they are both familiar and otherworldly. We all experience them, yet no two people dream the same, and no one truly understands them. Ask 5 scientists to explain what a dream is, and you might get 5 different answers. One might tell you it's the mind, organizing memories. Another might say it's emotional processing. Someone else will speak of imagination, of free-flowing cognition, unshackled from logic and gravity. But at their most basic, dreams are internal experiences, thoughts, sensations, emotions that occur during sleep, often without rhyme or reason. They can be bizarre or mundane, terrifying or delightful, coherent or utterly chaotic. One moment you're reliving your childhood home, the next you're swimming through the sky or speaking fluent octopus. In the dream, it all makes perfect sense. Only when you wake up do the seams show. The curious thing is how ancient this phenomenon is. Dreaming isn't new. It didn't arrive with modern humans or sophisticated brains. Fossils can't show us dreams, but they likely go back millions of years. Even animals dream. Even children dream before they speak. Dreams seem to be woven into the deepest threads of what it means to have a mind. And yet, we often dismiss them. A fleeting image, a silly story. But the dreaming brain is doing something real, something active. While the body rests, the brain plays, or remembers, or feels. Maybe it's exploring, untangling, or just inventing. And maybe it doesn't need to make sense. Maybe it's not supposed to. Think about the moment you slip into sleep. There's no announcement, no grand shift, just a slow melting away of the waking world, a drifting. And then, like stepping through a door you didn't know was there, you're somewhere else, a room you've never seen but somehow recognize, a person who feels important, but whose face shifts when you look closer, a feeling, a strange mix of memory and imagination. Sometimes dreams seem to mirror our lives. A stressful day bleeds into a restless night. An unfinished conversation replays in symbols and metaphors. But sometimes, dreams are something else entirely, wholly original, born from the creative depths of the mind. Where do these stories come from? What part of you decides that now is the time to climb a stairwell made of violins, or to host a dinner party with people who have your old math teacher's face? It's tempting to think of dreams as random, a sort of mental static. But even static has patterns, and dreams often feel purposeful. They carry emotions, they stir responses, they leave impressions. Some linger for years, others vanish before you reach the kitchen. Why does one remain while the rest fade? Why does a dream from childhood still haunt you, while last night's dream, so vivid in the dark, is gone without a trace? The brain, in dreaming, becomes both artist and audience. It spins tales for itself, but it's not always clear who's in charge. Sometimes it feels like watching a film. Other times, like you're directing the scene. Sometimes you're not even there at all. And this strangeness, the not knowing, the shifting logic, the absence of control can be unsettling or beautiful or both, but it's always human. Dreams are reminders that beneath all our planning and productivity, there's still a place in us that makes room for wonder. A part of the mind that plays in the dark, far from rules or reasons, just because it can. Every night, as sleep takes hold, that door opens again. And whether you remember or not, you walk through it. A quiet adventure begins. Your heart slows, your body softens, but your mind, it comes alive, quietly, secretly, spinning images from silence, writing stories in the dark. For as long as humans have had language, they've had dream-sand questions about them. Long before brain scans or sleep studies, people stared into the morning light, trying to make sense of the strange worlds they had visited in the night. What were they? Where did they come from? Were they visions? Warnings? Messages from somewhere or someone else? In ancient times, dreams were not seen as random or meaningless. Quite the opposite. They were sacred, powerful, sometimes even divine. Across cultures and continents, dreams were considered portals to another kind of knowledge, a realm that lay beyond waking life. The Sumerians, over 4,000 years ago, wrote down their dreams in cuneiform, some of the earliest written records we have. They believed dreams were sent by gods to guide kings and priests. In Egypt, dreams were carefully recorded in what we might now call dream journals, and entire books were written to interpret their meaning. Dream interpreters held special status. To dream of a flood meant one thing, a falcon another. The dream world had its own language, and they believed it could be translated if you knew how to read it. In ancient Greece, dreams were woven into philosophy and medicine. Temples called Asclepions welcomed people seeking healing through sleep. Visitors would lie down in special chambers and await divine dreams visions believed to come from Asclepius, the god of medicine. These dreams would guide their treatment. Greek thinkers like Aristotle were more skeptical of divine origins, yet still deeply curious. He suggested that dreams came from within us, that they were reflections of the body and mind, stirred by internal causes, not external messages. Even then, there was a tension between mystery and explanation, between the mystical and the physical attention that continues to this day. Later, in the Roman Empire, dreams were taken seriously by the state. Some emperors believed dreams could predict political events. Others feared them. Caligula, reportedly disturbed by nightmares, once ordered the execution of a man simply because he dreamt of his own death. In ancient China, India, and Mesoamerica, dreams were no less important. They were seen as connections to ancestors, to spirits, to other worlds. In some traditions, the dreamer traveled while the body slept, walking unseen paths in another dimension. In others, dreams were viewed as glimpses into past or future lives, an echo from before, or a warning of what's to come. But it wasn't until the 19th and early 20th centuries that dreams took on new meaning through the lens of psychology. Sigmund Freud, perhaps the most famous dream theorist in history, declared that dreams were the royal road to the unconscious. In his view, dreams were not divine messages or random nonsense, but reflections of hidden desires, especially those we weren't ready to admit, even to ourselves. In the dream, he argued, the mind disguises its secrets using symbols, metaphors, and strange little detours. Freud believed that if you could decode a dream, you could understand something buried deep within the dreamer. This idea captivated the world. Dreams became puzzles to solve, mirrors to study. And it wasn't just about what you dreamed, it was about what it meant. Why was the hallway so narrow? Why did that person show up again? Why couldn't you speak, or fly, or run? People searched for clues in every detail. But Freud's student and eventual rival Carl Jung took a different approach. Where Freud saw personal secrets and repressed wishes, Jung saw universal patterns. He believed that within dreams lay archetypal symbols, shared across cultures and generations. The wise old man, the trickster, the shadow, the hero. These, Jung said, came not from individual experiences, but from something deeper, the collective unconscious, a vast shared reservoir of human memory and meaning. According to Jung, dreams were not just private stories. They were part of something bigger, a thread connecting you to humanity's oldest questions. And while Freud and Jung didn't always agree, they both believed that dreams mattered, that they were worth exploring, that they weren't just noise. And in this, they were echoing a truth that people have felt for thousands of years, that when we sleep, something inside us speaks. Of course, modern science eventually arrived at the dream doorstep with different tools and a different tone: electrodes, brain imaging, sleep labs. Researchers began measuring eye movements, brain waves, and sleep cycles. They traced when dreams happened and what parts of the brain lit up. They shifted the focus away from symbols and meanings and toward biology and cognition. And yet, even as the language changed, the fascination remained. We still ask the same questions, in new ways. What is the brain doing when it dreams? Why does it create these vivid, surreal experiences? And how can something feel so real and yet dissolve so completely when we wake? Even now, as science uncovers more about sleep stages and neural activity, there's still room for mystery. There's still something about dreams that resists being pinned down. They are personal, and yet oddly universal, timeless, but fleeting. They remind us of something older than technology, deeper than language, something about being human. So while the explanations have shifted gods to archetypes, archetypes to neurons, the awe remains. The questions endure. And maybe that's part of what dreams are for, not to give us answers, but to remind us that we still have questions worth dreaming about. We often think of sleep as a single act, a quiet surrender, a switch flipping from wakefulness to unconsciousness. But in truth, sleep is a far more intricate process, an elegant ballet performed by your brain and body each night, following a rhythm that's both ancient and precise. While you drift into stillness, your brain begins its most sophisticated performance, cycling through stages that each play a unique role in your physical and mental well-being. This hidden architecture of sleep is not a blank slate or a uniform fog. It's structured, layered, and alive with silent motion. Understanding these stages reveals not just how sleep supports life, but how it opens the door to dreaming itself. As you close your eyes and begin to relax, you don't fall straight into deep sleep. Instead, your brain enters the first stage, light sleep, also known as none. This is the threshold, the in-between space, a gentle letting go. You're still somewhat aware of your surroundings, but your attention has started to drift inward. Your muscles relax, your breathing slows, and strange sensations may begin to ripple through your body. This is often when you feel that odd, sudden jolt, the sensation of falling, followed by a brief awakening. It's your nervous system easing the reins, a slight misstep on the path toward rest. Brainwaves begin to slow down, shifting from the faster patterns of wakefulness into the softer rhythms of sleep. This stage usually lasts only a few minutes, but it marks the beginning of the journey. Next comes N2, a deeper form of light sleep. Here, your body temperature begins to drop, your heart rate slows further, your eye movements stop. It's quieter now, both inside and out. Your brain begins producing short bursts of rapid activity called sleep spindles, along with sharp waveforms known as K complexes. These bursts may sound technical, but they play a very protective role. They help block out external noise and stimuli, allowing you to remain asleep even as the world around you continues to move. N2 is not flashy or dramatic, but it makes up a significant portion of your sleep cycle. Early half the night is spent in this quiet, stable state. It's the steady heartbeat of sleep, preparing the body for the deeper restoration still to come. Then comes N3, also called slow wave sleep or deep sleep. This is the most physically restorative phase, where the body repairs itself in earnest. Your muscles relax completely, your blood pressure drops, your breathing becomes slow and rhythmic, and your brain begins to emit long, slow delta waves, broad, sweeping patterns of activity that signal a profound descent into unconsciousness. If you've ever felt groggy after being woken from a nap, it's likely because you were pulled from this deep stage of sleep. It's not easy to wake someone from N3, and when you do, they often need time to reorient themselves. During this phase, your body is busy healing, repairing tissues, strengthening the immune system, releasing growth hormone. It's also believed that N3 plays a role in consolidating certain types of memory, particularly those linked to physical skill and routine. It's the deep cleaning cycle, where the body restores and resets. But perhaps the most fascinating stage is still to come: REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep. This is where dreaming takes center stage. After passing through NUN, N2, and N3, your brain begins to shift gears again. Your eyes, though closed, start to move rapidly beneath your eyelids. Your brain activity increases to levels almost indistinguishable from wakefulness. Heart rate and blood pressure rise slightly. But despite this mental activity, your body becomes essentially paralyzed. This paralysis is no accident, it's a protective feature. Without it, your body might attempt to physically act out your dreams. Instead, you remain still while your mind takes flight. REM is the stage where the most vivid, emotional, and story-like dreams occur. The brain blends memory, imagination, emotion, and symbolism into experiences that can feel more real than reality. You might find yourself flying, running, exploring, falling, searching, remembering, and though it all unfolds within your mind, the feelings are genuine. Fear, joy, surprise, or they surge through the dream as though the body doesn't know the difference. And in a way, it doesn't. REM also plays an essential role in emotional processing. It helps your brain sort through the day's experiences, smooth emotional rough edges, and reset your mood for the day ahead. It's not just mental theater, it's therapy in disguise. These stages, light sleep, deep sleep, REM, don't unfold just once. Instead, your brain cycles through them multiple times throughout the night, in roughly 90-minute loops. The early part of the night leans more heavily on deep sleep, focusing on physical recovery. But as the night wears on, REM periods grow longer and more frequent. That's why your most intense and memorable dreams tend to arrive in the final hours of sleep, just before waking. The brain gradually shifts from restoration to exploration, giving more time to dreams as morning nears. This entire cycle, repeated 4 to 6 times each night, is the foundation of sleep architecture, a blueprint built into your biology. And when the structure holds, you wake refreshed, balanced, and restored. But when it's disrupted by stress, irregular schedules, light exposure, or stimulants, everything else feels off. You might struggle to fall asleep, wake up feeling unrested, or lose the deeper benefits of sleep entirely. The rhythm is delicate. The sequence matters. And here's what's most extraordinary. All of this happens silently, without conscious effort. You don't need to plan it or initiate it. Your brain does it for you, night after night, like a quiet caretaker, repairing, processing, dreaming, holding you in place while the world fades away. It's easy to forget how intricate sleep is, how much is happening while we lie still in the dark. But the more we understand it, the more it becomes clear that sleep is not a pause in life. It's a continuation of it beneath the surface, within the folds of the mind, where stories are written, in brainwaves and dreams emerge from silence. Inside your sleeping mind, a quiet symphony begins. It's easy to imagine the brain at rest during sleep, like a light switched off or a machine powered down, but nothing could be further from the truth. While your body lies still beneath the covers, your brain is alive with activity, more alive, in some ways, than when you're awake. As you drift through the cycles of sleep, particularly into REM, your brain doesn't simply rest, it reconfigures. It activates regions you don't consciously control, and it begins crafting a world that feels almost real. This is the backstage of the dreaming mind, where thought, emotion, memory, and imagination dance together in the dark, stitched into scenes that unfold without logic, but still somehow make sense in the moment. And at the center of it all are a handful of brain regions, each with its own quiet role, each one contributing to the mystery of dreams. One of the most important players in this performance is the prefrontal cortex, the rational thinker, the planner, the part of your brain that helps with decision-making and self-control. During waking life, this region is constantly active. It's what helps you filter your thoughts, weigh your choices, and navigate the endless little puzzles of daily life. But during REM sleep, something unusual happens. The prefrontal cortex goes quiet. Its usual governance over your thoughts dims, and as it steps aside, a kind of creative anarchy takes over. Without the usual rules of logic or restraint, your thoughts become free to wander, to collide in strange and unexpected ways. Time bends, places morph. People from different parts of your life appear in the same scene, often doing things that make no sense at all, at least to your waking mind. But within the dream, it all feels seamless. The part of you that would normally raise an eyebrow and question everything is asleep at the wheel, allowing your brain to build stories that defy logic but feel emotionally true. Meanwhile, deeper in your brain, the amygdala comes to life. This small, almond-shaped structure is crucial to your emotional experience. It helps generate feelings of fear, pleasure, anxiety, and excitement. During REM sleep, it becomes highly active, pulsing with emotional energy that colors the fabric of your dreams. This is why dreams often carry intense emotional weight, even if their content seems strange or fragmented. You might not remember exactly what happened in the dream, but the feeling, the sadness, the joy, the tension can stay with you long after you wake. The amygdala doesn't need a coherent plot to stir emotions. It simply reacts to the dream's unfolding scenes, fueling them with mood and urgency. A hallway becomes threatening. A stranger becomes comforting. A place you've never seen before feels like home. The amygdala ensures that even the most illogical dream resonates with feeling. Then there's the hippocampus, often called the brain's librarian or memory architect. It plays a critical role in storing and retrieving memories. During sleep, and particularly during REM, it doesn't simply shut down. Instead, it rummages through your mental archives, pulling bits and pieces from your recent experiences, faces you passed on the street, a song that played in the background of your day, a thought you didn't have time to finish. These fragments often weave their way into your dreams, creating a collage of memory and invention. This is why your dreams often seem familiar, but out of place. A childhood bedroom filled with objects from your current life. A conversation that feels like a blend of many. Your hippocampus isn't recreating memories perfectly, it's recycling them, repurposing them, wrapping them in the surreal cloth of the dream. It's also believed that REM sleep helps strengthen emotional memories, tying them more deeply into your psyche, which may explain why certain dream images feel unforgettable, even if they only occurred once. The visual elements of dreams are orchestrated largely by the occipital lobe, the region at the back of the brain that processes visual information. During REM sleep, the occipital lobe lights up, painting your dreams with vivid colors, shifting perspectives, strange lighting, and rapid scene changes. Even in complete darkness, your brain can generate landscapes, faces, movement, and light. It's like your own internal film studio, complete with a projectionist who doesn't quite follow the script. This is why dreams are often highly visual, filled with surreal images that don't need to obey the rules of physics or perspective. You can find yourself walking through a city that loops in on itself, or flying through clouds that shimmer with impossible color. The occipital lobe brings these visions to life, constructing a dream world where anything can happen and often does. Beneath all of this is a quieter mechanism that ensures your dreams stay within the realm of imagination, rather than spilling into the real world. This is the work of the pons, a part of the brainstem that helps regulate REM sleep. It sends signals down the spinal cord that temporarily paralyze your major muscle groups. This state, called rematonia, prevents you from physically acting out your dreams. Your brain might imagine running, falling, fighting, or dancing, but your body remains still. This safety measure is essential. Without it, every vivid dream could become a real movement, with the potential for injury or chaos. In rare cases, this system misfires, resulting in sleep disorders where dream enactment becomes possible. But for most of us, the paralysis works perfectly. It's one of the many unseen systems that protects the boundary between dream and waking life. And all the while, the brain is communicating with itself through bursts of activity, tiny electrical storms that ripple across its surface. One of the most fascinating of these are the PGO wave, short for pontogeniculo-occipital waves. These electrical pulses begin in the pons, travel through the lateral geniculate nucleus, a part of the visual pathway, and reach the occipital cortex. Scientists believe PGO waves are deeply involved in the creation of visual dream content. They may act as a kind of opening signal for the brain's nightly performance, a curtain raiser that announces the dream is about to begin. And as these waves pass through the visual centers of the brain, they may stimulate the strange and vivid imagery that defines REM sleep. Together, these regions, the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala, the hippocampus, the occipital lobe, the pons, form a kind of internal dream team. They collaborate silently and instinctively, each contributing its part to the strange, shifting tapestry of the dream. No one region controls it all. Instead, they interact in subtle ways, sometimes aligned, sometimes in conflict, but always creating something new. And that's the astonishing part. Every night, your brain builds entire worlds from memory, emotion, imagination, and sensation. It casts you in a leading role. It sets the stage. It writes the script on the fly. And all of this happens while you're unconscious, unaware, floating just beneath the surface of wakefulness. It's a kind of magic, really a biological magic, grounded in neural circuits and chemistry, but no less wondrous for that. The brain, in dreaming, is not just performing maintenance or replaying the past. It's telling stories. It's feeling, remembering, reaching, processing. It's alive in a different way. And though we may not always remember the performance, the impact lingers. Dreams may fade, but the dreaming brain never stops working, never stops weaving the threads of thought and feeling into something that belongs to you and you alone. Every night, it pulls back the curtain once more, and the show begins again. Why do we dream? It's one of those questions that seems simple on the surface, but the moment you try to answer it, the ground begins to shift beneath your thoughts. Even now, after centuries of curiosity and decades of research, no single explanation satisfies everyone. Dreams are so slippery, so inconsistent, so deeply personal, that defining their purpose is a bit like trying to catch fog in your hands. You may get a handful of mist, a sense of something, but nothing you can really hold. And yet, the question remains because dreaming is universal. Every culture, every era, every mind that sleeps has asked this question in its own way. Something so persistent, so consistent across the human experience, surely must serve a purpose, or perhaps many purposes. One theory that has taken root in neuroscience is the idea that dreams are a byproduct of memory consolidation. Every day, your brain is flooded with information, some meaningful, some mundane. Names, faces, feelings, sounds, tasks, conversations, worries, ideas. Most of it is too much to carry forward into tomorrow. So at night, while your body rests, your brain begins its cleanup. It sorts, organizes, files away what's worth keeping, and gently sweeps out the rest. This is not a cold, mechanical process, like a computer tidying up a hard drive. It's messy, emotional, and sometimes surreal. The theory suggests that dreaming might be a side effector, even a central part of this memory processing. As your brain tries to make sense of recent experiences, it replays fragments of them, not always faithfully. Often, it blends them with older memories or with imagined scenarios. It layers feelings on top of moments. It tests connections. In doing so, it may help you solidify what matters and let go of what doesn't. But memory alone doesn't explain the full depth of dreaming. There are dreams that contain no clear memories at all, no familiar places or people. Dreams that feel symbolic or emotionally charged in ways we don't fully understand. This has led some researchers to explore another theory, that dreams help us process emotions. During REM sleep, the emotional centers of the brain, like the amygdala, are highly active. At the same time, chemicals related to stress such as norepinephrine, notably suppressed. This creates a unique environment where emotional memories can be reactivated without the full force of fear or distress. It's like revisiting something difficult with the volume turned down. In this state, your brain might replay emotionally charged moments from your day, but instead of reliving them as stress or anxiety, it weaves them into dreams. These dreams can be strange, exaggerated, symbolic, but they may allow the brain to reframe, reprocess, and eventually find some degree of closure. Even dreams that seem bizarre or random might be quietly working through feelings you haven't fully dealt with while awake. Then there's the idea of threat simulation. Some evolutionary psychologists believe dreams evolved to help early humans rehearse survival scenarios. In this theory, dreaming acts like a mental gym place to practice responding to danger, uncertainty, or conflict without real-world consequences, being chased, getting lost, navigating social tension. These themes are common in dreams, and according to the theory, that's not a coincidence. It may be that the dreaming brain runs simulations of threatening situations to prepare you emotionally and cognitively to handle them if they arise. It's rehearsal, but with dream logic. The predators may take unusual forms. The rules of space and time might not apply. Still, the emotional core of the experience, fear, urgency, escape is very real. And by practicing these responses in dreams, your waking mind may be just a little more prepared to respond calmly and quickly to danger. Another theory, more abstract but no less compelling, is the activation synthesis hypothesis. According to this view, dreams are the result of random brain activity during REM sleep. Electrical signals fire from deep within the brainstem, triggering memories, images, and sensations. The cerebral cortex, which is always eager to find patterns and meaning, tries to interpret this internal noise. It builds a story. It assigns roles, context, emotion. The result is the dreamer narrative, born not from intent, but from improvisation. It's as if your brain is handed a shuffled deck of images and told to make a movie. Sometimes the story makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't. But it's not the randomness that matters, it's what your brain does with it. The act of synthesis, the need to weave meaning from chaos. Yet not all theories focus on stress or survival. Some researchers believe dreams play a role in creativity and problem solving. When you're awake, your thinking is mostly constrained by logic, experience, and expectation. But when you dream, the filters drop, the boundaries blur. Ideas that would never collide in waking life suddenly merge and mutate. This mental freedom can lead to insights, connections, or perspectives that your conscious mind might never find. History is filled with stories of people who found inspiration in dreams. The melody for Yesterday came to Paul McCartney in a dream. The structure of the periodic table reportedly appeared to Dmitri Mendeleev while sleeping. Even the concept for Frankenstein is said to have emerged from a dream of Mary Shelley's. Of course, not every dream is a masterpiece. Most are odd, fragmented, quickly forgotten. But every now and then, the dreaming mind stumbles across something rarer thought you didn't know you needed, a solution you weren't looking for. And then, there's the possibility that dreams are part of a broader developmental process. Children dream more than adults. Their REM sleep takes up a greater proportion of their sleep cycles, and their dreams tend to be more imaginative, less bound by the rules of physics or social convention. Talking animals, magical transformations, impossible worlds all are common in the dreams of a child. Some scientists believe this imaginative dreaming plays a role in cognitive development, helping young brains explore possibilities, stretch their problem-solving abilities, and experiment with emotional responses. Dreaming, in this light, is not just a reflection of waking life, but a rehearsal for a place where the brain practices being alive. With all these theories, memory, emotion, survival, creativity, development, tone might ask, which is true? Which one is correct? The answer might be all of them, or none. Or perhaps dreams serve different functions at different times. Sometimes they help you process a difficult conversation. Sometimes they warn you about danger. Sometimes they solve a puzzle. Sometimes they just entertain. The function of a dream may shift from night to night, from person to person. What's clear is that the dreaming brain is not passive. It is not idling in sleep. It is actively engaging with your inner world, your thoughts, your fears, your memories, your hopes. It is playing, organizing, testing, and feeling. It is working behind the scenes of your consciousness, doing something important, even if that purpose can't always be put into words. So why do we dream? Maybe it's because the brain never truly stops. Maybe it's because, in the quiet hours of the night, without the noise of the world, it has a chance to think in its own language, visual, emotional, symbolic, strange. Maybe it's because part of being human is telling ourselves stories, even when we're not awake to hear them. And maybe, just maybe, dreaming is not about meaning at all. Maybe it's simply a form of being, a different mode of mind, no more or less valuable than wakefulness, but uniquely its own. A state where the soul stretches, the mind wanders, and the self unfolds quietly into the night. You wake up, maybe slowly, maybe all at once, pulled into morning by the sound of your alarm or the faint light peeking through the curtains, and for a few fragile seconds, the dream is still there. Clear, sharp, almost as if it had happened in real life. A face, a place, a feeling, the texture of a moment. You try to hold on to it, repeating it silently in your mind so it won't disappear. But then, as you stretch or turn your head or blink, it slips, the thread breaks, and suddenly, it's gone. Not erased exactly, but unreachable, like a name on the tip of your tongue that retreats every time you chase it. You know you dreamed. You remember dreaming. But the dream itself has faded into mist, leaving behind only a strange mood or a sense of unfinished business. This is one of the great puzzles of dreaming, not just why we dream, but why we forget. Dreams can feel incredibly vivid while they're happening. Your heart races. You feel the wind on your skin, the emotion in your chest. You speak, you run, you cry, you laugh. And in those moments, you believe it completely. It feels real, just as real as waking life. But upon waking, most dreams vanish within minutes. Some are lost in seconds. And even those you swear you'll remember because they felt so important, so detailed, so emotionally intense here, often gone by the time you finish brushing your teeth. Scientists have studied this phenomenon, and it turns out that remembering dreams is more complicated than it seems. It's not simply a matter of paying attention. There are biological reasons why dreams are difficult to recall, and they lie deep in the architecture of the sleeping brain. One key factor is that the parts of the brain responsible for memory formation are not fully active during REM sleep, the stage when most vivid dreaming occurs. The hippocampus, the brain's memory librarian, plays a central role in storing long-term memories. During wakefulness, it helps encode experiences and move them into lasting storage. But during REM, the hippocampus functions differently. It's still active, but not in the same way it is when you're awake. Some researchers believe that because the hippocampus isn't fully online, the brain simply doesn't store dream memories as it does waking ones. The result is that even powerful, emotional dreams may not leave a durable trace. It's as if the brain wrote them in chalk rather than ink, and the act of waking wipes the slate clean. There's also the fact that REM sleep involves a different pattern of neurotransmitter activity. Chemicals like norepinephrine and serotonin, which support memory consolidation during waking hours, are at their lowest levels during REM. Instead, the brain is flooded with acetylcholine, which promotes vivid imagery and internal thought, but doesn't do much to preserve memories. In this way, the very chemistry that makes dreams so immersive also makes them harder to remember. The brain is generating incredible experiences, but it's not taking notes. And yet, not all dreams are forgotten. Some stick with us, sometimes for years. They linger in the mind, replayed again and again, often tied to strong emotions. These are the dreams that tend to be more vivid, more meaningful, or more startling. Nightmares, especially, can etch themselves into memory like fire. So can dreams of loss, of joy, of transformation. Anything that touches us deeply is more likely to be remembered, even if the details shift over time. It seems that emotion plays a critical role in dream recall. The more emotionally charged the dream, the more likely it is to leave a lasting impression. That's because the amygdala, which processes emotion, is highly active during REM sleep. When your brain tags an experience as emotionally significant, it's more inclined to hold on to it even in the fragile world of dreaming. There's also a curious relationship between waking up and remembering. Dreams are most likely to be recalled when you wake up during or just after REM sleep. This is one reason people who set alarms or wake up briefly during the night tend to remember more dreams. The transition from REM to wakefulness creates a brief window where dream content can be transferred into working memory, the kind of memory you use to remember a phone number or a sentence. But if you sleep straight through a REM cycle and into deeper sleep, that window closes, and the dream may never be retrieved. It's not gone, it's just locked away in a part of the brain that waking thought can't easily access. Some people, though, remember dreams more easily than others. They're called high dream recallers, and they tend to have certain traits in common. They may be more introspective, more imaginative, or more emotionally sensitive. They also often wake more frequently during the night, creating more of those memory windows. Brain scans show that high dream recallers have more activity in the temporoparietal junctional region, linked to self-awareness and attention to internal experiences. This suggests that remembering dreams may depend as much on how your brain is wired as how deeply you sleep. Of course, dream recall can be improved with practice. People who keep dream journals often find that the more they write down their dreams, the more they remember. It's as if the brain learns that dreams are important and begins to prioritize them. Recording even fragments of color, a phrase, a feeling can help strengthen recall over time. Simply lying still upon waking, with your eyes closed, and asking yourself, "What was I just dreaming?" can sometimes coax the dream back into awareness. It's a subtle process, like pulling a thread through fog, but with attention and patience, more of the dream can return. Still, most dreams remain hidden, like waves that roll quietly beneath the surface of consciousness. And maybe that's not a flaw, but a feature. Dreams are not built for the daylight. They don't follow the rules of waking logic or social expectation. They are ephemeral by nature, fragile and free. Their forgetting may be part of what makes them so powerful. They live in the night, then fade with the sun, like stories whispered to you in sleep. You don't have to remember them all. Some were never meant to be remembered, only felt, like music you hear just once, but that somehow changes your mood for the whole day. Even when forgotten, dreams may still shape us. They stir emotions that carry over into waking life. They nudge us toward insights we can't trace back to a single scene. They leave behind the gentle fingerprints of imagination. So, if you wake tomorrow and can't remember what you dreamed, don't worry. Your brain remembers in its own way. It doesn't need words or logic or narrative to do its quiet work. It dreams not for your conscious mind, but for something deeper, something older, and somewhere inside, that dream is still echoing, still flowing, still part of you, even as the day begins. Imagine you're in a dream walking through a forest made of glass, or swimming effortlessly through the air like it's water. The world around you is strange, but it doesn't feel strange at all. It feels natural, logical, even. Trees shimmer, voices echo from nowhere. Maybe the laws of gravity have gone on holiday, but your dream self moves through it all with confidence. You don't question the oddness, because, in the moment, it's your reality, until suddenly, something shifts. Maybe it's a flicker of recognition, a quiet thought, or a strange déjà vu. You pause, you look around, and then it dawns on you, wait, this is a dream. You realize it, clearly, consciously, and just like that, everything changes. You're no longer just drifting through a story. You're awake within it, aware, in control. This is the doorway into lucid dreaming, one of the most remarkable states of consciousness the brain can experience. Lucid dreaming is the moment when you know you're dreaming while still inside the dream. It doesn't always mean full control or godlike power, though it can sometimes feel that way. It simply means awareness, that quiet inner shift where the dream world is no longer just happening to you, but something you're part of, and possibly something you can shape. Some people experience lucid dreams by accident. They might notice something too strange to ignore: a sky with two suns, a conversation that loops, a clock that melts, and in that moment, they wake up inside the dream. Others train themselves, using techniques designed to increase the chances of lucidity. But no matter how it happens, that moment of realization is often described as magical, exhilarating, and deeply surreal. From a scientific perspective, lucid dreaming is a kind of hybrid state. Your brain is still in REM sleep, still dreaming, still showing the high levels of activity associated with vivid imagery and emotional intensity. But certain regions, particularly the prefrontal cortex, which is usually quiet during dreams, start to light up again. This part of the brain is responsible for critical thinking, self-awareness, and working memory. When it reactivates during REM sleep, something rare happens. Your waking sense of self returns to the dream. You can think clearly, make decisions, remember your goals, and sometimes even interact with the dream as though you were a conscious participant in it. Brain scans have confirmed this shift. Lucid dreamers show patterns of neural activity that resemble both sleep and wakefulness, as if the brain is holding two states at once, one foot in the unconscious, the other in awareness. What people do with that awareness varies. Some simply observe. They explore the dream world with curiosity, watching it unfold. Others try to fly, pass through walls, speak to dream characters, or conjure entire landscapes. A few use the state for more introspective work, asking questions, confronting fears, or seeking insight from the dream itself. There are even reports of people using lucid dreams to rehearse real-life skills, like public speaking or athletic moves. Because the brain treats imagined actions much like real ones, this kind of practice may have benefits that extend into waking life. It's like mental rehearsal with the volume turned up, set in a world without physical limitations. But for many, the draw of lucid dreaming isn't utility, it's wonder. The experience of being present, conscious, inside a world created entirely by your own mind is unlike anything else. There's a feeling of deep, quiet power, a sense of being both creator and explorer. And while control is possible, it's not always the point. Some lucid dreamers choose not to direct the dream, but to let it guide them to see where it wants to go, to observe without interfering. Others find that attempts at control can destabilize the dream or cause it to end abruptly. The balance is delicate. Like riding a wave, it requires awareness, but also surrender. Push too hard, and the moment slips away. But with calm intention, the dream can stretch on, shifting, deepening, revealing hidden corners of the subconscious that feel intimate and new. Learning to lucid dream takes patience. There's no guaranteed method, but several techniques have been developed to improve your chances. One common practice is the reality check, regularly asking yourself throughout the day, am I dreaming? If this question becomes a habit, you're more likely to ask it in a dream, and that simple moment of doubt can trigger lucidity. Another method involves waking up after about 5 hours of sleep, staying awake briefly while focusing on the intention to realize you're dreaming, and then returning to sleep. This technique, called mnemonic induction of lucid dreams, or MILD, works by planting a conscious seed just before you re-enter REM sleep. Some use wake-initiated lucid dreaming, WILD, which involves maintaining awareness as your body falls asleep. It's difficult and can lead to strange sensations, like sleep paralysis or auditory hallucinations, but when successful, it allows you to step directly from waking into a lucid dream, with no loss of consciousness in between. Not everyone achieves lucidity, and even for those who do, it may come and go unpredictably. The dreaming mind is not always cooperative, and some dreams resist control or awareness, no matter how prepared you are. And yet, even rare lucid dreams can leave a lasting impression. They can open a window into the creative, emotional, and symbolic layers of the self in ways that waking life rarely allows. They can shift your perspective not just on dreams, but on the nature of consciousness itself. What does it mean to be aware, to observe your own mind at play, to recognize that you're not just the dreamer, but the dream as well? Lucid dreaming also offers a powerful tool for those who struggle with nightmares. For people haunted by recurring dreams of fear or helplessness, the ability to become lucid within the dream can change everything. Imagine realizing, mid-nightmare, that the monster chasing you isn't real, that you are safe, that this is only a dream. That moment of lucidity can turn panic into peace, flight into courage. Some nightmare sufferers learn to face the fear directly, to talk to it, to dissolve it. Others simply wake up, grateful to have taken back control. For those dealing with trauma, this shift, however small, can be incredibly empowering. Of course, lucid dreaming isn't always a gentle experience. The clarity it brings can make dream emotions more intense. The surreal landscape of the subconscious, when viewed with conscious eyes, can feel unsettling or overwhelming. Some dreamers report moments of euphoria, others describe feelings of confusion, even fear. But these emotional responses are part of what makes lucid dreaming so compelling. It's not just a fantasy playground, it's a real encounter with the deeper layers of your own mind, unfiltered and alive. And that kind of self-encounter, even when strange, can be quietly transformative. In the end, lucid dreaming is a reminder of how flexible the mind really is, that awareness can bloom even in unconsciousness, that the self is not a fixed point, but a fluid presence capable of slipping between worlds, shaping experience, even as it's shaped by it. Whether you become lucid often or only once, whether you fly or simply observe, whether your dream dissolves after seconds or stretches into something epic, the experience leaves a mark. A sense that consciousness is more spacious than we tend to believe, that somewhere inside, your mind is always dreaming, and that sometimes, with just the right nudge, you can wake up inside that dream and see it for what it is, a world of your own making, fleeting and beautiful, held gently in the hands of sleep. Not every dream is soft and strange. Not every dream wraps you in wonder or leaves you with a quiet sense of peace. Sometimes, the world behind your eyelids turns dark. You find yourself running, searching, falling. Something is chasing you, or someone you love is slipping away, or you're trapped in a place that shouldn't exist. These dreams don't gently fade when morning comes. They leave marks. You might wake up with your heart pounding, breath shallow, your whole body tense, as if it had lived the danger. These are nightmares, the emotional storms that sweep through the dreaming mind when it's supposed to be at rest. And while they're uncomfortable, confusing, even frightening, they are more than just bad dreams. They're meaningful, they're biological, they're deeply human. Nightmares happen most often during REM sleep, the same stage where vivid and immersive dreaming takes place. In that state, the brain is highly active, generating imagery, processing emotion, tapping into memories and fears. The amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for strong emotions like fear and anger, is particularly active during REM. Meanwhile, the rational parts of the brain that might calm those reactions, the prefrontal cortex, the inner voice of reason, remain relatively quiet. Without that inner governor to reassure you or help you make sense of the dream, the fear you feel in a nightmare is unfiltered. It surges through your dream world unchecked, intense and immediate, as real as if it were happening in waking life. And when you wake, the fear doesn't disappear. It lingers, echoing through your body, sometimes long after the images have faded. Nightmares are more than just unpleasant experiences. They often carry emotional weight drawn from your waking life. Stress, anxiety, trauma, unresolved conflict. These things don't simply disappear when you sleep. They come with you. And because dreaming is a state where your brain processes and reorganizes emotional content, these raw feelings can surface in symbolic form. A dream about being chased might be rooted in work pressure. A collapsing building could echo a fear of failure. The content doesn't always match the emotion directly, but the emotional truth is there, hidden in metaphor, disguised as narrative. Your brain isn't punishing you, it's trying to help you process, to release what you haven't been able to let go of. And sometimes, the way it does that is loud and chaotic and distressing. For most people, nightmares are rare. They appear occasionally, stirred by emotional stress or disturbing experiences. But for others, nightmares are a regular part of the nighter pattern that disrupts sleep and erodes rest. When nightmares happen frequently and impair daytime functioning, it may be classified as nightmare disorder. This condition is especially common in those who have experienced trauma, such as people living with PTSD. In these cases, the dreams may replay aspects of the trauma itself, either directly or in symbolic form, night after night. The mind, unable to fully integrate the experience, keeps returning to it. The dream becomes a loop, a scar that hasn't yet had the chance to heal. For those who suffer from chronic nightmares, the impact can be profound. Sleep becomes something to fear, the bed, a place of dread. The emotional cost is high, but there are ways to address them. One of the most promising approaches is a technique called imagery rehearsal therapy. It involves taking a nightmare and rewriting it while awake. The person imagines a new version of the dream, less frightening, less helpless, and mentally rehearses it. Over time, this new script can take root, and the brain begins to follow it. The emotional power of the nightmare weakens, and the dream shifts. It's not about denying fear, but about transforming it, taking back a small measure of control. And the results, for many, are life-changing. It's also important to distinguish nightmares from night terrors, which are different in nature. Night terrors usually occur during non-REM deep sleep, not REM, and they don't involve vivid dream content in the way nightmares do. A person experiencing a night terror might sit up suddenly, scream, sweat, or appear panicked, but they are often not fully awake and usually have no memory of the event afterward. Night terrors are more common in children and typically fade with age. They can be distressing to witness, but are not usually signs of deeper psychological issues. Unlike nightmares, which involve a coherent narrative and emotional storyline, night terrors are more like sudden emotional outbursts, triggered by transitions between sleep stages. Another phenomenon sometimes confused with nightmares is sleep paralysis. This happens when your mind wakes up during REM sleep, but your body remains in its temporary state of paralysis. In that moment, you are conscious, aware of your surroundings but unable to move. The experience often comes with hallucinations, a sense of presence in the room, pressure on the chest, or fear that something is wrong. It can feel terrifying. Many cultures throughout history have attributed sleep paralysis to supernatural forces, spirits, demons, creatures sitting on the chest of the sleeper. But we now understand it as a temporary misalignment between the brain's waking and sleeping systems. The paralysis usually passes within seconds or minutes, and while frightening, it is not harmful. Still, for the person experiencing it, the fear is very real. But whether it's a nightmare, a night terror, or sleep paralysis, all of these experiences remind us that the emotional brain never truly turns off. Even in sleep, even without the conscious mind, the brain continues to feel, to fear, to remember, and in the case of nightmares, that fear becomes a story, a dream shaped by shadows. Some researchers believe nightmares serve an evolutionary purpose, that they help us prepare for danger, rehearse responses to threats, and strengthen emotional resilience. From this perspective, the nightmare is not an enemy, but a kind of internal fire drill, a way to sharpen your instincts, process emotional tension, and fortify your waking self. And yet, for all the theories and science, there's still something deeply personal about nightmares. They touch the parts of us we don't always show, the private fears, the unresolved hurts, the deep, hidden longings. They can feel like messages, even if we don't understand their language, like mirrors, cracked and shifting, reflecting feelings we've pushed away. And perhaps that's why they matter, because even though they frighten us, they may also be offering something we need to see. Not all dreams are gentle, and not all nights are restful, but each dream, each nightmare, even is part of the long, mysterious dialogue your mind has with itself. So, if you've had a nightmare recently, know that you are not broken. Your brain is not failing you. It's still doing its work, sorting, healing, searching for peace in its own way. The darkness in the dream is not the end of the story. It's a passage, and on the other side, there are dreams of light, of comfort, of understanding. Let your mind keep speaking. Even when the voice is loud, even when the dream feels like too much, it's part of you. And in time, with care, even the stormiest dreams may pass, leaving behind not fear, but a deeper strength, a deeper knowing, and perhaps a night of quiet sleep. It's a quiet evening, and your dog is curled up at your feet, breathing slowly, paws twitching gently in the air. Maybe you've seen this before. His ears flick, his legs jerk slightly, his mouth moves as though he's softly barking in his sleep. For a moment, it looks like he's chasing something that only he can see. A cat, a ball, maybe even a memory. And somewhere inside you begin to wonder, is he dreaming? What's going on inside his mind when he sleeps so peacefully, so deeply beside you? The answer, according to a growing body of research, is yes. Your dog almost certainly dreams. And not just dogs, cats, rats, birds, elephants, even some reptiles. Dreaming isn't something unique to human. It's a shared experience, something that links us, silently, to other animals in a deep and mysterious way. For decades, scientists assumed that dreams were tied to language or complex self-awareness traits we believed were uniquely human. But once we began studying the sleeping brains of animals, especially mammals, the evidence started to shift. In the 1950s, when REM sleep was first identified in humans, researchers soon found similar patterns in the brains of cats. They discovered that cats not only experienced REM sleep, but they also displayed twitching, eye movements, and muscle activity that closely resembled what we see in human dreamers. When they suppressed the usual muscle paralysis that keeps the body still during REM, these sleeping cats would get up and move around as if chasing invisible prey, hunting, pouncing, playing behaviors they hadn't physically practiced in hours, maybe days. It was as if their dreams had spilled into their bodies, revealing a hidden world of nocturnal activity. Since then, studies have expanded to include a wide variety of animals, and the results are compelling. Rats, for example, have shown fascinating evidence of dreamlike activity. In one experiment, researchers trained rats to run through a maze while monitoring their brain activity. Each time the rat navigated a corner or found a reward, specific neurons would fire in predictable patterns, like a mental map of the experience. Later, while the rats were asleep, the same patterns reappeared, sometimes in the same order, sometimes faster than in real time. The rats were replaying the maze in their sleep. And this wasn't random brain noise. It was structured, purposeful, almost like watching a dream unfold from inside the mind. These findings suggest that animals, just like humans, may use dreams to process memories, reinforce learning, or explore recent experiences while asleep. Birds, too, offer intriguing clues. Zebra finches, small songbirds, known for their complex vocal learning, have been observed singing in their sleep, not out loud, but within their brains. As they sleep, their neurons fire in the exact sequence used during their waking songs, almost as if they are practicing silently. Young birds, still learning how to sing, show even more activity, suggesting that dreaming may help refine their vocal skills, just as it helps humans consolidate new tasks and memories. If dreaming serves as a kind of nighttime rehearsal, then it seems nature has made wide use of it across species. It isn't something luxurious or optional, it's essential. Even elephants, known for their intelligence and strong emotional bonds, show signs of complex dreaming. When they lie down to sleep, something they don't do often, they enter a REM-like state, complete with muscle twitches and eye movements. It's difficult to study such large animals in controlled lab settings, but anecdotal reports and field observations suggest that elephants may experience dreams that involve social connection, memory, and perhaps even grief. In the wild, they've been seen returning to the bones of dead companions years later, touching them with their trunks, pausing in silence. Do those memories resurface at night? Do elephants dream of each other? The closer we look, the more it becomes clear that dreaming is not limited to us. While we can't ask an animal what they saw in their sleep, the physiological signs are their REM cycles, brainwave patterns, even emotional expressions in sleep. Dogs, for instance, show different dream behaviors depending on their breed and daily activities. A pointer might raise its snout and hold still, as if locked onto prey. A retriever might jerk its legs in running motions. Puppies tend to dream more frequently than older dogs, possibly because their brains are still developing and consolidating new experiences. And anyone who has ever loved a dog knows the gentle whimpering and tail thumping that sometimes breaks into their naps. It's hard not to believe that they're dreaming of joy. Cats are dreamers too, though their REM cycles differ slightly from those of dogs. Sleeping cats often twitch their ears, flick their tails, or paddle their paws, movements that hint at play, hunting, or exploration. Scientists believe these are remnants of daytime behavior, reactivated and rehearsed during sleep. Like dogs, cats also experience more REM sleep when they're young, and this decreases with age. The rhythm of their dreams changes across a lifetime, just like ours. What a kitten dreams of may be wildly different from the quiet inner world of an old, slow-moving house cat. But the dreaming continues softly, invisibly, as they lie curled in the sun or beneath a chair, living a second life in the quiet hours of sleep. Even reptiles thought too primitive for dreaming may experience simple versions of REM-like states. Certain species of lizards display alternating brain activity that resembles the cycles of sleep seen in mammals and birds. While it's too early to say for sure whether they dream in the way mammals do, these findings suggest that the roots of dreaming may stretch far back into evolutionary history. It may be one of the oldest forms of cognition we share, older than language, older than logic, older than fear. And perhaps that's the most beautiful part, that dreaming isn't a trick of human consciousness. It's a thread that runs through the animal kingdom, a quiet, unseen experience that happens in dens and nests, in jungles and oceans, wherever sleep descends. Your cat, curled on the windowsill, a whale drifting deep beneath the waves, a monkey cradled in a tree, a sparrow beneath its wing, all dreaming, all reliving the day, reshaping the world, feeling, remembering, imagining, each in its own way, guided by the deep intelligence of sleep. Dreaming, then, may not just be something we do, it may be part of what life is, a shared inheritance of the sleeping brain, passed down not just through humanity, but through all creatures who move, remember, and feel. And so, the next time you see your dog twitch in his sleep, or your cat's whiskers flutter while she naps, remember that you are witnessing something ancient and intimate, a secret inner world, opening like a flower in the dark, a reminder that the mind never truly rests and that even in stillness, all life continues to dream. There's something undeniably human about wanting to understand what our dreams mean. You wake up from a dream that feels heavy with emotion, maybe strange, maybe beautiful, maybe unsettling, and for a moment, you sit in silence, replaying the scenes in your head, searching for some thread of meaning. What was that about? Why did you dream of someone you haven't seen in years? Why were you in a place you've never been, but somehow felt connected to? Was it just random? Or was your mind trying to tell you something, whispering through symbols and stories that bypass the conscious filter? This curiosity isn't new. People have been interpreting dreams since the dawn of history, treating them as messages, omens, mirrors, or riddles to be solved. And while science has brought us deeper insight into the mechanics of dreaming, the deeper question still lingers: what do our dreams actually mean? In ancient times, the meaning of a dream was never in doubt. The question was never whether dreams had meaning, it was what the meaning was. Civilizations across the world built entire systems of belief around the interpretation of dreams. The ancient Egyptians believed that dreams were messages from the gods, and they recorded them in elaborate dream books filled with symbols and outcomes. A crocodile in a dream might mean a hidden enemy. A river could signal change or renewal. Priests and temple interpreters served as guides, helping people decode the messages hidden in their sleep. The ancient Greeks, too, placed great value on dreams. Temples of Asclepius, the god of healing, allowed people to sleep within sacred chambers in hopes of receiving divine guidance through dreams. And dreams in the Bible, the Quran, and other spiritual texts were often seen as prophetic visions sent by a higher power to instruct or warn. In the modern world, dream interpretation took a more psychological turn. Sigmund Freud saw dreams as a pathway into the unconscious, a place where repressed desires and hidden conflicts emerged, disguised in symbolic form. In his view, every dream was a kind of puzzle, layered with meaning. A house might represent the self, Stares could symbolize rising ambition or descent into the subconscious. Even seemingly mundane elements could have deep psychological resonance. Freud famously emphasized the role of sexuality and suppressed desires, often reducing dream symbols to reflections of inner tension. His approach was controversial but groundbreaking, turning dreams into a subject worthy of clinical analysis and scientific study. Carl Jung, a contemporary of Freud, offered a different view. He believed that dreams didn't just express personal desires, but tapped into something deeper, collective, unconscious. A reservoir of shared human experiences, myths, and symbols that span across cultures and time. To Jung, a dream was not always a riddle with a single answer, but a story woven from universal archetypes. The wise old man, the shadow, the hero, the child. These recurring figures in dreams weren't random. They were echoes of something primal, woven into the human psyche across generations. Jung encouraged dreamers to explore the symbolic content of their dreams through active imagination and journaling, seeking not just explanation, but integration. He believed dreams held the potential for transformation, self-awareness, and healing. Outside of analytical psychology, dream interpretation evolved into other traditions as well. Some cultures use dreams for spiritual guidance, considering them messages from ancestors or the divine. In shamanic traditions, dreams are often treated as journeys of traveling beyond the physical world, entering realms of spirit and vision. In indigenous communities, dreams might be shared communally, interpreted in the context of community values, shared symbols, and collective meaning. These approaches treat dreams not as isolated mental events, but as meaningful threads in the fabric of life. In popular culture today, dream interpretation often sits somewhere between folklore and psychology. Flip through any dream dictionary, and you'll find long lists of symbol. Snakes mean transformation, water means emotion, flying means freedom or ambition. And while these interpretations can sometimes feel overly simplistic or generalized, they speak to a deep truth. Humans crave meaning. We want the strange things we experience in dreams to point to something real, something understandable. But the truth is, dream symbols are not one size fits all. A snake in your dream might not mean the same thing as a snake in someone else's. Context matters. Emotion matters. Personal experience shapes the lens through which a dream is created, and no outside source can fully decode what only your subconscious knows. Modern dream researchers tend to approach meaning with more nuance. Some see dreams as the mind's way of simulating social situations, testing emotional responses, rehearsing challenges in a safe, imaginary space. Others suggest that dreams help us reframe experiences, integrating conflicting thoughts and feelings into a new emotional narrative. A dream may not tell you what to do, but it might show you how you feel about a person, a choice, a memory, a fear. In that way, meaning isn't handed to you by the dream. It's discovered afterward, when you reflect on the dream with attention and curiosity. And perhaps that's where dream interpretation finds its true power, not in rigid definitions or universal rules, but in self-inquiry. When you ask yourself what a dream means, you are really asking yourself to look inward. What am I feeling? What am I avoiding? What am I yearning for? The dream becomes a mirror, reflecting back parts of the psyche that might be too quiet or hidden in waking life. Dreams give you permission to speak to yourself in a language that defies logic, but resonates on a deeper level. They are stories told in metaphor, not to confuse, but to reveal. And like all good stories, their meaning often lies between the lines. Keeping a dream journal can help uncover this meaning over time. When you write down your dreams regularly, patterns begin to emerge, recurring symbols, familiar themes, emotional cycles. You might notice that certain dreams appear during times of stress, transition, or excitement. You might begin to understand what certain images mean to you, not to a book or theory, but to your own personal language of the unconscious. And through that process, dreams shift from being strange nighttime intrusions to something more intimate and valuable part of your own evolving story. It's tempting to wish that dreams came with subtitles, clear, simple explanations, but maybe their power lies in their mystery. Maybe the meaning of a dream is not something to solve, but something to live with, to explore, to let unfold over time. Not every dream has a clear message. Some are just emotional echoes. Some are creative sparks. Some are nonsense, playing with the mind's leftover pieces. And yet, in each one, there is something worth paying attention to, a window into the self, a conversation in the dark, a symbol not just of what is, but of what could be. So when you wake from a dream that feels like it's trying to tell you something, don't rush to label it. Sit with it, feel it, let it breathe. Ask what part of you needed to speak, and what part of you needed to listen. That's where the real meaning begins, not with answers, but with questions. Not with definitions, but with curiosity. Because dreams don't give us facts, they give us truths. Emotional truths, symbolic truths, the kind you can't explain easily, but that stay with you anyway. The kind that only appear when the mind is quiet, the world is still, and you're finally willing to look inward and ask, what am I really dreaming of?